Welcome to another educational video from Dollar. Today we will be discussing gold and silver class rings and their value. Though some class rings do contain collector value, 95% of all class rings we receive are based on monetary value, which is what we will be determining today. Our appraisers have selected a collection of class rings made from various materials and contain certain attributes involved in determining their value. While gold class rings hold substantial value, silver class rings are not usually worth a lot, and 3 of these class rings contain no monetary value at all. Before we evaluate the worth of these items, let's take a moment and discuss class rings and their history. Class rings hold a long-standing tradition and typically commemorate graduation from high school, college, and universities. Many students and alumni wear class rings to honor their school and academic achievements. They frequently feature the school's name, mascot, or crest among personal insignia such as graduation year, name engravings, and almost always contain colorful stones. The United States Military Academy at West Point were the pioneers of class rings, and in 1835, their cadets were the first ones to wear them. As the tradition spread, civilian colleges and universities began to adopt the practice. Institutions like MIT, Harvard, and Princeton started offering class rings to their graduates, and eventually, class rings became a common feature in high schools across the United States. When evaluating class rings, you need to know what the material is made of. Many class rings are made of gold. Most are made of 10-karat gold. Like these 4 rings in the center are all 10-karat gold, and you can identify them by their 10K marking. They can be made of 14-karat golds, like these 2 at the top, which will have a 14K marking on them. Silver rings are almost always made of sterling silver, like these 2 along the side. Sterling silver rings will usually be marked with the word sterling, or they will have the 925 marking. Silver rings can also be gold-plated, like these 2 at the bottom. Gold-plated rings will have the marking GP on them. Besides gold and silver, class rings can be made of other non-precious metals, such as lustrium, tungsten, copper, or even steel. Those metals don't hold any monetary value. This is a lustrium ring, and it has an LTM marking on it. Fakes or misleading markings may also be a problem, such as this ring, which is marked 18 karat. While class rings can be made of 18 karat gold, this ring is not gold at all. And one of these 2 gold-plated rings is not really silver. Let's do a quick demonstration to show you how we determine these rings are fake. To reveal whether a ring is gold or not, all you need is a very strong magnet. Gold and silver are diamagnetic metals, which means they are repelled by a magnetic field. We have a 14-karat gold ring at the top, and when we bring this magnet to it, you can see that it is not attracted to the magnet at all. This means if the ring is not gold or silver, then the opposite effect should happen with the magnet. Let's test it out with this 18-karat gold marked ring. And as you can see, this ring was attracted to the magnet, which means it is not a gold or silver ring and therefore contains no monetary value. Now let's test out the gold-plated rings. As mentioned, they are both marked gold-plated, but one of them is not real silver. Let's see which one it is. Looks like we found our fake gold-plated ring. This one does not contain any monetary value. Another important factor in determining the value of class rings has to do with the stones. Almost all class rings feature some sort of decorative stone. Most of these stones are synthetic or lab created, and 99% of them contain no value whatsoever. Sometimes they will have little holes in them for crests or have shiny paper on the back to enhance their color. Of course, the stones contain weight, and to accurately calculate the value of a class ring, the stone's weight must be deducted from the gross weight. On average, most of these stones weigh between 1 and 2 grams, but we have seen stones weighing as little as 0.5 grams and as much as 4 grams. The stones are either removed from the ring, like this one, or our appraisers, who are very experienced and knowledgeable with this process, are able to calculate the weight of the stone and deduct it from the ring. We have 3 loose stones here which have been removed from class rings, so let's weigh them to give you an example of how it can affect the accuracy of the overall price of the ring. Let's start with this little blue stone, and it weighs 0.83 grams. Next up, we have this medium-sized red stone, and this red stone is 1.44 grams. And lastly, here's this large stone, which weighs 2.01 grams. So especially with gold, you can imagine how the weight of all of these stones can affect the value accuracy of the class ring. With all of this knowledge, we can now begin determining the value of our gold and silver class rings. This simple process requires an accurate scale and access to our website, redollar.com. It is important to keep in mind the price of gold and silver are fluctuating daily. Visit redollar.com for the most up-to-date price. I have our rings sorted by their purity. So we have the 2 14-karat gold rings at the top, the 4 10-karat gold rings in the middle, and I have 2 sterling silver rings at the bottom. All the class rings that had no monetary value were removed. Let's begin with this 14-karat gold ring. As I mentioned, our appraisers are able to determine the weight of the stones. This particular ring, the stone weighed 1.7 grams. So when I place this ring on the scale, I'm going to deduct 1.7 grams from the total weight. So to find out the value, let's head over to our website, redollar.com. Here we are on Redollar's website. At the top, I selected Calculate Payout, and that takes us to the gold and silver calculator. We are valuing our gold rings, and they would be considered jewelry for the item category. And this is a 14-karat gold pure ring. The adjusted weight of the ring minus the stone was 19.72 grams. Wow, you can see how much gold pays out for that amount. $771.45 worth of 14-karat gold. Now we have our second 14-karat gold ring. The stone in this ring weighed 1 gram. So minus 1 gram from this weight. Let's go find out the value. Our second 14-karat gold ring weighs 14.64 grams and pays out $572.72. Moving on to our 10-karat gold rings now. Here we have another pretty large stone. This stone weighed 2 grams. So 16.67 minus 2 grams will give us 14.67 grams. We'll go back over to ReDollar's website. So I'm going to select 10 carat from the purity category. And that first 10 karat gold ring weighed 14.67 grams of 10 karat gold. Another substantial payout, $408.12. Here is the 10 karat gold ring, which does have the stone already removed. It is a pretty heavy ring. It weighs 20.73 grams of 10 karat gold. That second 10 karat gold ring we had was actually the heaviest ring today. It weighs over 20 grams, 20.73 grams of 10 karat gold, pays out $576.71. This 10 karat gold ring contains a 1 gram stone. So we will value it at 9 grams of 10 karat gold. A nice even number weight for that third 10 karat gold ring was 9 grams of 10 karat gold. And that will get $250.38. And lastly, for our 10 karat gold rings, our smallest of the four, this ring doesn't have a stone, so we don't need to deduct anything from 6.19 grams. And just remember to keep in mind that both gold and silver prices do fluctuate daily, and visiting ReDollar.com ensures the most up-to-date prices. The fourth ring, that was 10 karat gold, is 6.19 grams, and it pays out $172.21. Lastly, we have our sterling silver rings. We have a men's ring and we have a woman's ring. And you will notice that the men's ring is much larger and it is heavier than the woman's class ring. As we mentioned earlier, sterling silver class rings do not hold very much monetary value, so I'm only going to value the men's ring, but I do want to show you that the weight difference is pretty substantial in both of these rings. So the stone in the men's ring was 2 grams, which I will deduct from 18.56 grams of silver. That gives us 16.56 grams. And the woman's ring, the stone was 0.5 grams. So it'll be 6.19 grams of silver, which is a really big difference. So let's go find out the value of our men's sterling silver class ring. And this is really going to give you a good representation of the difference between gold and silver value. So I'm selecting silver from the metal category, and it is 925 sterling purity. And though it does weigh a lot, 16.56 grams, it pays hundreds and hundreds of dollars less than it would if it were gold. You will get $11.76 for the one sterling silver class ring. We hope you have found this video useful and now are able to identify class rings by their material and other attributes in determining their value. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again on another educational video from ReDollar.